Hi everyone, we'll look to get started in the next couple of minutes. Check, you've still got loads just coming in at the minute, so just give it 2.
Yep, no problem. Hi all. We'll look to get started with the call now. Welcome to this LFC Foundation Careers Uncovered event. As you can see on the screen, before we get started, we'll just run through a few of the ground rules. Make sure your camera's turned off for the duration of the call. Make sure you're on mute, and make sure appropriate language is used at all times. As noted below, private messaging between each individual is off, but you will be able to send some questions in to the host. In regards to questions, we'll be taking that at the end of the call. So if you have a question for one of our guest speakers, whether that be John, Carl or Thomas, make sure you put their name in front of your question so that we can ask that at the end. Okay, so let's get things started. My name's James and I'm the Employability Project Lead. I'll be hosting this call today, and I've got the support of my employability team, which is Rob, Jane and Gary on the call as well. This is the first in a series of 8 Careers Uncovered events. We will also have workshops following each Friday, which are exclusive participants on this call. You'll know a little bit more about that later on. We'll have a QR code which you can access via your phone, but we'll also be putting a link in the chat. Today's event is focused on LFC sports coaching. As you can see on the call, we've got the likes of Carl, Thomas and John, and we'll be introducing them a little bit later. So first of all, I'm going to introduce Karl. Karl has been at the foundation for around 9 years now. He's had a journey from being a casual coach to the current role he's in. Karl has started his youth by playing in the academy, but moved across to coaching. Karl has been influential for a number of years in developing high quality coaching casual workforce at the foundation. Karl, I'd like to welcome you to the call.
Brilliant, thanks, Joe.
Thanks for being here. Next up, we've got Thomas. Thomas is a former athlete turned freelance throwing coach. He once held the Guinness World Record for the longest throwing and was once a member of the Danish bobsleigh team for 4 years. He's worked at LFC for over 3 years. Thomas is a coach for several other well-respected clubs across Europe, including Ajax, RB Leipzig, Atlanta United, and FC Midtjylland. Hopefully I've said that right, have I, Thomas?
Not really, but that's okay.
Welcome to the call, Thomas. Really great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks.
And last up, we've got John Achterberg. John's joined Liverpool's backroom staff in 2009 after making the short trip across the Mersey from our Wirral neighbours, Tranmere Rovers. John spent more than 10 years at Prenton Park as a player and latterly as a goalkeeper coach. Signed by Cop legend John Aldridge in September 1998 from Dutch outfit FC Utrecht. He went on to make over 250 appearances for Rovers and was an extremely popular figure among supporters. John is our first team goalkeeper coach and also well-respected coach across Europe. Welcome to the call, John.
No problem. Good to see you all.
Thanks very much for being here.
No problem.
Okay, so now we've done our introductions for the call. We're going to move on to the bit which is better than me speaking, and it's going to be our guest speakers doing our talking. And this is going to be the chance for them to give an overview of their current job role and their pathway to their current role as well. So, John, would you like to kick things off?
Yeah, for me, obviously, I've been a long while, and basically what I do is being in charge of the goalkeepers in the club and the goalkeeping program, and try to help the team to prepare the goalkeepers for the game, really. Obviously, in my education, I did all my licenses. I started already when I was pretty young with that, 26, and to do already the outfield licenses and starting doing goalkeeping training already in Holland when I was in the same age, 26, doing already every age, really doing improving goalkeepers. Just so I always had it in mind, really, that I wanted to do that, and basically put that into practice from 26, really. Then when I come in England, I actually carried on and off, really. And I started pretty quick when I came and was settled. Then obviously the chairman at the time in Tranmere was not too keen for me to carry on with it, because obviously it's a lot of hours on both sides, playing and coaching. So then I stopped for a little bit, but I think I was always kept the interest and keep doing the licenses. So I think I was 34, 5. I started to do all the Tranmere goalies from the younger age. I did my local goalkeeping school. I had one in North Wales, one in Liverpool, one in Tranmere, and then try to recruit goalkeepers from that coaching schools as well. And then obviously I was in the end player coach at Tranmere, and I had all the licenses done up to the A license, outfield and goalkeeping highest license. And then I got the offer to basically join Liverpool. And then I started the first year at the academy doing all the academy goalkeepers, and with Mark Morris. And I was in the goalkeeping coach for now on the reserves, basically. So, and after 1 year, I made a step to the first team and been ever since there, but still did, I think, for like 4 or 5 more years, the academy keepers and the first team keepers. So it was pretty hectic at that time. And I did it till Brendan came, and Brendan said, I just want you to do only the first team. Big part of my job is also looking at other goalkeepers, finding new goalkeepers, prepare on that side every year for number 1, 2, 3 and young goalkeepers. So I put a big interest in that and try to follow everything in Europe and outside Europe, anywhere, all the tournaments, young tournaments from 17s up to see if there's anything. And if anyone tells me, oh, have a look at this, I try to catch it up to be basically up to date on all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think that is a little bit the story. I don't know if you want me to add anything more on it, but I got signed basically by Benitez. I was doing my goalkeeping pro, if you like, for goalkeepers, and I needed to watch a Premier League team. I sent a mail to Everton and Liverpool because they obviously the closest. And at that time, no one replied at the moment. But because I did coaching courses, one of my coaches who worked with me, he said that he knew the reserve team goalie coach at Liverpool. So I watched there, and then the first team goalie coach was there, and he asked me. That was Rafi Valero, and he asked me to want to see the first team. So I saw the next day the first team training, had some questions about goalkeeping, and then he after he got back in touch with me to ask me and talk about goalkeepers, and in the end he asked if I was interested to do the job there for the youth and the 23. So I was 38, so playing wise was pretty much done. I could probably carry on for another 1 or 2 years, but I thought, this is a good chance to make the next step, and I was always passionate about the situation. So I decided, to take that step, and then you carry on with what you put into practice all the years before, and you keep developing in that way. And in the end, I did the pro license while I was here. So, and I did the academy license. I have every license probably what at that time was on the market, and now they're creating more and more licenses. But that is more for the youth. So I'm not too much involved. So I didn't do anything of that at the moment. But, pro license you have, so you can go with everything really what you get offered.
Absolutely. At what point did you know that you wanted to be a coach? Was that towards the latter end of your career, or did you feel like you always wanted to be a coach kind of in your playing career as well?
Yeah, no, that's why I was already so early starting. I had always one, I wanted to play, and two, I always thought I want to be a coach after that. So I did when I was 10, 11, I was in Holland. We started the first France goalkeeping camps, and I was on the first one he made in Holland. And obviously Frans Hoek is a big coach for goalkeepers in Europe and a big name. So I was already in my mind pretty early, and that's why basically when I was playing already started that, just to educate yourself, and you can make a lot of advantage when you start younger because you get more and more experience. So I think that was an important thing. And it's different if you stop playing and then from playing go straight into coaching, then you'll miss quite a bit, I think, on development side. And I have done that probably all the time, all the years I've been looking at. If I was in Tranmere playing myself, I was looking at my own game to see what was right, what could be better, and I always thought about it. And if you work with kids, then you actually think a lot, how can you develop them individual in movements and positioning, and that can help you later on if you work with senior goalkeepers as well. And I think I wasn't, if I would have been from Tranmere finishing playing, go straight into coaching, I would not be as far educated than I was by doing all the stuff before, what I did before, to be honest.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, John. Okay, we're going to move on to Thomas now. Thomas, would you be able to give an overview of your career and your current job role and education, similar to what John has just done?
Yeah, as you mentioned before, I'm a freelance throwing coach, not only working in Liverpool FC, but several other professional clubs around the world. I'm working after my long, fast, and clever throw-in philosophy. And just to recap that short, that's all about making the players throw further, making the players throw more precise, make the players know when to throw the ball fast, but also when to have patience. And then the thing I use the most time on is creating space between the players so we can keep possession, create chances or score goals after throw-in situations. So that's my main job, if I should explain it very shortly. I came to Liverpool in July 2018 after Jurgen Klopp called me directly on the phone. So yeah, that was also a surprise for me, a really happy surprise for me. The reason why he called me was because in the 17-18 season before I came, the club had a good season with the 4th place in the Premier League and Champions League final, even though the team lost. But the team was only number 18 out of 20 in the Premier League on throw-ins under pressure where the players were marked. So that was like a big weakness from the team. And some might think, hey, throw-ins, it's only a small thing. No, there are normally between 40 and 60 throw-ins in a match. So actually, it's a big thing in football. So I've been working for Liverpool FC since July 2018. It's been fantastic to be a part of these last 3 seasons here, and really love to work in the club itself. So that's fantastic. Actually, I don't have any football-related education, not even 1 minute. So compared to John, I'm really uneducated. But I've been taking a 3.5-year education in Denmark, where I'm from, where as a pedagogue, as we call it here, it's like a kind of a teacher working with, I've both been working with kindergarten kids, but also a lot with young people, especially young people struggling. So that's been worthwhile for me. But the reason why I became a throwing coach or got the idea was because I was taking my different sporting backgrounds and put them into one job. I've been playing football up to the U19s, where I played in the best league in Denmark. Also played against good players like Thomas Gravesen, for example, who later played for Celtic and Real Madrid. But I wasn't good enough to be a professional football player. I was really fast, and then I had like really long throw-ins. So in the mid-90s, I went to athletics, and already the first year I came on the Danish national team in athletics, doing 100, 200, 400 meters and relays. And I had 6 years in the athletics world. And after that, in 2002, I changed to the bobsleigh sport. And I was 4 years on the Danish national bobsleigh team, traveling all around the world, whole Europe, Canada, the States. And I've also been doing a lot of playing a lot of basketball, street basketball, still do. So all these sporting backgrounds I've been putting into my job as a throwing coach. And some might think, hey, how can you use athletics? Yeah, perhaps that's pretty simple. It's all the movements from sprinting, but also the throwers in athletics. And bobsleigh, that was because we were a very innovative team. So we did a lot of new things never seen in the bobsleigh sport before. But we also did a lot of video analysis. We took several thousand video analysis up to start every season. So because it's really important to have a good technique in the bobsleigh start. So all these video analysis, I've also been using that in the bobsleigh. And then basketball. I use a lot of knowledge from basketball so we can create more space in football. So all in all, I've taken that into my role as a throwing coach. And the way I did that was in 2004, I thought, hey, if I can make a good throw in myself, and that was in the middle of the bobsleigh period, can't I teach other players to do it? So I went down to my local library in Denmark, my local town, and tried to find a book about throw-ins, but there were no books at all. So I had to do my own course, and I used approximately 6 months to make a throwing course and analyze myself with video and so on. And to be honest, I didn't know if it would work because I only analyzed myself. So I could have been starting with a youth amateur team, but I had the courage to ask a local Superliga team from Denmark called Viborg, and they said yes, and they scored a lot of goals after throw-in situations. The club had its best placement ever in the Danish Superliga that season. So all in all, it was a success, and yeah, since then I've been coaching a lot of different professional teams. And the first years it was only the long throw-in, but in 2007 I thought that one of my teams were really bad at just a normal throw-in in the middle of the pitch. So from 2010 I focused on the long, the fast, and the clever throw-in philosophy. So that's all in all throw-ins all around the pitch, everything you can imagine around throw-ins, both attacking, defending, including every player on the pitch. And then on to like the last theme here is, did I have any barriers here as a throwing coach? Yes, first of all, a lot of people have been laughing and thinking it was crazy and stupid, and a lot of people have been saying it's only small gains and a small thing, but I think the numbers have shown that throw-ins are actually a really big thing. But my big breakthrough came with the job in Liverpool FC. So after it's been accepted in Liverpool FC, people can now see that that it works to focus on throw-ins all around the pitch, because most teams have possession under 50% of the occasions when they have a throw-in under pressure. And if you had the same with your feet, you'll only be playing Sunday League football. So I'm just happy to be part of Liverpool FC, and it's been meaning a lot to me and my family too. So all in all, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, thanks for that, Thomas. A couple of things that came up there. I think the transferable skills, which you talked about from your previous job roles, are quite interesting, I feel, because although you've not necessarily done football in the past, you've used your ability in athletics and bobsleighing and basketball, which is really interesting as well. Yeah, thanks very much for that, Thomas. And the last guest to talk about their career will be Karl. Karl, if you're okay to come on mute, and then your chance to speak as well.
Yeah, so my journey with the football club probably started 25 years ago. I know what you're all thinking, well, how old is he if it was 25 years ago? And the second thing I always think is I'm surely due a testimonial soon. I've been here well long enough now to gather one. My journey started at the academy. So I was a scholar at Liverpool from the age of 8 to 16. During that time, I was part of a fantastic organisation, probably one of the best in the world in terms of what the offer was, what the coaching capabilities and qualities was, but also what the values and philosophies was of the football club. That was the time during Gerard Houllier's reign, and during that time I had some really, really highs in my career to this point, really. Captained the club numerous occasions throughout the age groups, played in various international competitions, played against some of the best teams and players in the world. Obviously, domestically, you've got your Man United, your Man Cities, your Chelseas, but internationally as well, it was really good to sort of pit our wits against the Inter Milans, AC Milans, Real Madrid's, Barcelona's. So for me, my upbringing really was all football. I'm from a football family. Everything we do was football based. So my upbringing was football specific, but as I progressed throughout my career in terms of being at Liverpool, we were also sort of guided down the route of opening up your opportunities within football and utilising other areas of sport. So we would then be sort of geared around utilising tennis to try and improve our fast feet, our SAQ, our ability to move our body and our feet quickly, but also other sports as well. So it really opened up my horizons, and it opens up my sort of ability to see what a sport and landscape looks like as opposed to just a footballing one. Now, obviously, at that time, my heart was set on football and becoming a professional footballer, as you do at that age. Little did I know, fast forward and later and down my career, those little snippets of utilising other areas of sport to benefit myself. And again, as John and Thomas has touched on, using them for transferable skills that will later benefit me down the back end of my career where I'm up to now. It's really stood me in good stead to sort of progress within my role now. So fast forward from there, I had a age-old injury at the age of 16ish. It was osteoarthritis discecans, easy for me to say. So it was a really rare injury at the time, and that was centered around a lack of blood flow to my knee. So what happened over that sort of 18 months to 2 years at the age of 16, which is really the nitty gritty in terms of moving from an academy player to a scholar. The bone in my kneecap snapped off and lodged within my knee, so it caused me great pain for a considerable amount of time, which I actually played on with for probably 12-18 months. Eventually broke down through that and had to get operations, which all in all probably accumulated to about 2.5-3 years of my footballing career. So there was an operation where at the time it was quite rare, so I was sort of a guinea pig at the stage, where they had to take the kneecap out and put a new artificial bone into my knee and let that merge into the bone that was already existing within my body. So it lasted probably, as I said, 2.5-3 years, including recovery. During that time, as I said, that was the nitty gritty of footballing careers. It really sort of knocked me for six, not only physically, but also mentally as well, in terms of it then gave me an idea that potentially football wasn't the route for me in terms of being a professional footballer. Probably lost a yard of pace, probably lost a little bit of self-belief. So from there, I moved from Liverpool to Chester City at the time in League Two. Played for Chester as a scholar up until I was 18, and I made my debut in the Cup at 18 for Chester. Again, the kneecap didn't really hold up too well, but I was under the guidance of Ian Rush at the time and later Mark Wright, two ex-Liverpool players. Kneecap didn't hold up too well. I felt I'd lost too much in terms of pace, which is what I was all about as a footballer. I was a sort of marauding left back. I lost a little bit of pace, which then sort of I lost a little bit of desire in my ability to sort of play as a professional footballer, and felt my career was at a crossroads. Was it to continue and persist with it and hope that things would work out, or was I going to be more realistic in my approach? So I decided to leave football as a professional footballer, and similar to John and Thomas, I decided to look at different options within the sporting landscape. So that's when I really put a real home down on getting some qualifications. So I got quite a few of my coaching licenses. I got a lot of my youth mods. I had a few links in with Liverpool at the time anyway, so I discussed with Liverpool about coming into the foundation. So that's where my career started, away from playing and more towards then the giving back to the next generation. From what I'd received as a footballer and as a young person, as a young kid growing up, my education as a footballer was second to none. The coaches that I had were absolutely fantastic. And what I found as I was progressing, maybe 14, 15, 16, I really enjoyed the analytical side of football, and it was quite strange that I actually enjoyed sort of analysing my own game and feeding it back to me dad on the way home in the car, for example. So I always had that knack of really wanting to give back to the next generation, and I felt the skills that I'd acquired over that time, and the ability to feed back and to engage with people and to really hone in on a football and a sporting environment. I felt that I had the skill sets required, and I think, as John touched on before, in one way it was a real knock to the system that I couldn't be a professional footballer, which I'd always set my heart on doing. But in another sense, it then allowed me to focus my career in another way, and from a really young age, really. So I was then allowed and really engaged in applying what I've been taught and the philosophies and sort of what I've been taught as a young kid, to give that to the next generation. So fast forward from there, I was a casual coach with the foundation. So I had coach across all the schools, across the region, across a variance of settings, including mainstream, disability, girls, older age football. I'd also got qualifications within multi-sports, again, so looping back to when I was younger, and then I applied that from when I was a player. From there, I coached domestically, so domestically and locally. But then it sort of opened up my horizons. I've since coached all around the world, in Australia, Dubai, Qatar, America, all of Europe. So it's really sort of allowed me to experience different sorts of settings and environments around the world. Again, as a coach and as a person, it allowed me to pick transferable skills from all of those people that I'd come into contact with. And for me, a coach should always never stop learning. So I'm always picking up things from other coaches and vice versa. Again, fast forward through. I then got the role as coach engagement lead at the foundation, which was predominantly looking after our cohort of coaches, so around 50, 60 coaches. So that would be around education, around continuous development. It'd be around engagement with all them coaches, but also engagements of external coaches in the grassroots setting, because for me, the grassroots setting is an area where I really feel needs a bit of development. And again, that leads me on to the role that I'm now applied. I've been in the role of sport development programs manager since January 2020. Now, COVID has played a significant part in that. It's been predominantly the most of that time. But within that time, it's now allowed me to really hone in on the grassroots setting. So obviously, John and Thomas are more in the elite environment and the top end of the pyramids. My focus is really on the bottom end of that pyramid. And since then, I've sort of revamped our football development offer. So now it's really focusing on the grassroots setting of our players and development of our players, the development of our grassroots coaches, development of our clubs and leagues, and also the development of the game as a whole. So that's from the football side. And from the multi-sport and sports side, we've now recently partnered with Nike, Liverpool City Council, and we're going to roll out a mass engagement sport development program, which focuses on mass engagement for our young people. So removal of all barriers. So finance, opportunities, we're going to remove all of them and make sure that sport and football is a really opportunist approach that all of our children within the city and beyond can really have a good focus on. And for me, as I said, I'm really engaged and really enthusiastic about ensuring that the bottom end of our pyramid receives that elite sort of delivery and that elite baton, but with a view of really making sure it's engagement for all of our young people.
Thanks for that overview, Carl. Really appreciate it. What we're going to do now, we're going to move on to the next segment of the call. We've got some questions that we're going to ask the guests, and then we're going to move on to the questions that have been sent through to Rob as the host. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to spotlight. So we've got the three guests as our spotlights there. The first question I'm going to ask is, can you give me 3 skills which are related to your current role? We'll start with John, if that's okay. So 3 skills related to your current role that you use every day.
Well, it's obviously managing the goalie team squad, if you like, organizing all the things around it, what related to the next opponent, who we play, how we have to then manage the sessions to make sure the goalies know what the opponent will try to do in the game. And so you're making every week different sessions to the opponent you're playing to make sure that the goalies know what happens, how they have to positioning in this kind of exercise, and then they have the best chance to make saves. And obviously in the coaching team, working together with all the coaches, give your opinion on things and try to organize everything together. The main 3 things I would say.
Thanks for that. Thomas, would you be able to give your 3 skills?
Yeah, I'll say first of all, I think the first skill is analysis, to be able to analyze not only the team's strengths and weaknesses with the throw-ins, but also the individual players, so I can put that into the training too. I think the second thing is to make good and meaningful drills that is both learning the players, a lot of things around the throw-ins, but it also has to be partly entertaining, because I think it's really important that the players are motivated. So even though, of course, they have to learn something, I also do try to take in consideration that it has to be fun too. And then the third thing is to be, for me, like open-minded, not only to criticism, to help, but also open-minded to the people around me. So I think for me it's really important. I think I try to be that, in nature, but it's extra important for me to be kind to other people, be helpful, and it's especially because I'm traveling from culture to culture. Then I'm 1 week in LFC, then I'm 1 week in another club, the next week another club again. So I don't have these relations every day to the same people. And to be honest, I miss that a lot. I've tried in my earlier work life many years ago to have colleagues seeing every day. So I think that's the three main things.
Thanks for that, Thomas. Over to you, Carl. What are the 3 skills that you use every day in your job role?
3 for me probably would be people management and engagement and interaction with. So that could be with our young people, it could be with our parents, could be with our stakeholders, or it could be with our partners. So it's really sort of being a sort of chameleon in your approach and being able to change your interaction depending on who you're speaking with, just to make sure that obviously what you're speaking about and what you're looking to achieve is achievable, regardless of what layer you're looking to achieve it to. The second one would probably be a willingness to evolve and learn and develop and progress. For me, obviously, again, touching back on it, was around my landscape was around being a footballer. Once that changed and it opened up the sport and remit of what sport and landscape looks like, it opened up a lot of doors for me in terms of, I didn't know there was this many roles in football or in sport or in a community setting. So for me, the ability to always learn and develop and never stand still, because I think the minute you stand still, people overtake you and you become very antiquacky in your ways. I always think if you can stay up to date and be as modern as possible and add a bit of creative twist and personality into what you do, it always stands you in really good stead. And my last one for me will probably be around planning and organisation. So it could be whether it's on the football pitch, planning your session to the best possible standard to make sure your learning objectives are there and they're met as best they can, right through to up to operationally and strategically around programme development and management and ensuring the strategic elements of your programme that you're looking to develop and roll out across the regions are met right across the board.
Thanks for that, Carl. The next question that we're going to put across is around colleagues, and it's going to go to John again first. What type of people do you like to work with and why?
Yeah, I like to obviously work with top players and top staff. You need it in a big club. Everyone needs to be having the drive to succeed, really. So people who are on the front foot, like he just mentioned before, people who always want to be inventive. It's the same for in my way in training. You know, you always have to keep looking at new exercises and with the same outcome, but keep the mind fresh, and that is when you looking at more inventions around, but also try to have the right stuff basic still in there, but be looking around for new things. But working with high professionals, I like, you know, people who always want to have the drive, and I think we're in the right club on this moment in each department. You have the people who wants to drive on and improve and make things better, and you know, if you want to succeed, you always have to have that hunger to improve and be on your front foot, like just been mentioned before. So I think that is what I think about it.
Fantastic, thanks for that, John. Same goes to you, Thomas. What are the type of people that you like to work with? What makes a good colleague?
Yeah, first of all, I totally agree with John about ambitious people and people who want to go 100% after their goals. And so what I also really like in general, but also at Liverpool FC, is that people are very kind. People are really good at listening instead of just like only talking about themselves and their own ideas. People are listening. So I feel that the different departments at the club are really good at talking to each other, share ideas and helping each other. So and then on top of that, I think we, of course, when I'm in Liverpool FC, we are not laughing all the time, but we also have a lot of fun. And I think if you are able both to like be 100% professional, 100% ambitious, but also know when to have fun and enjoy your day at work, then it's really good. I'm also a motivational speaker. Been doing over 500 talks here in Denmark about work joy, and I can just say that I really find work joy in Liverpool FC. So if you look at people and how much they smile, that's a good indicator of how good a work environment is in the club. So all in all, yeah, it's fantastic in Liverpool FC.
Thanks for that. Then go to what type of people you like to work with.
Yeah, just echoing what the fellas have said. Really, obviously, our 4 key values around commitment, unity, dignity, ambition. I think they're just a really non-negotiable. They're things that to be in a club like Liverpool, these are things that you should have in your armoury. So I think from that perspective, they're sort of the non-negotiables. But again, I'll always come back to it. I just like to work with people who are really enthusiastic about what they do, really committed, have a creative approach, not sort of be a robot and sort of feel like there's only one way. I think that the more opportunities and the more skill sets you have in your back as such, I think it gives a more diverse, qualified and quality experience. But I also, again, echo what Thomas said, somebody with a bit of personality, a bit of a sense of humour, and professionally and personally, something that you get along with and you have the same values and beliefs, really, Jay.
Yeah, totally agree. And one thing which has come up in all 3 of your responses there is around ambition. And Karl mentioned it there being one of the club values. And just in terms of a lot of the individuals on the call might be starting off on their pathway in their career, whether that be in sport or another kind of career. Why is it important to be ambitious, and how can you be ambitious, John? Like why is it important to be ambitious?
If you want to achieve something, you have to be ambitious, no? Because you need to find the hunger, the drive to always want to improve and better and achieve something and win something. You have to try to be the best in what you do. You have to be, like Karl said, creative and work with people who are the best around you together to make everything fit really good. And from there, you try to become top in what you do. And I always had it as a player and as a coach. You want to learn everyone to be the best, and that's a kind of drive I have in my personal, but I'm pretty sure everyone in Liverpool has this kind of feeling, because they all have the same passion in their specific role in the club, and we all want to help, and in the end, obviously I'm on the first team side, but in every department you want to help. If that's a coach in the academy, if that's an analyst, they all want to give you the best information to the individual to achieve the best, and the players want to have the same kind of drive. If you are on the 9 player, you want to try to get to the first team, and as a first team player, you want to win the next game and want to be the best player in your position. So this is a kind of philosophy and drive in the club, and you know, every person who works in the club has this kind of desire himself to do so, and that's how I feel and I see it, really.
Absolutely. What we'll do, we'll move on to our next question, and then we'll move on to the questions from our participants, if that's okay. So the last question from the foundation is, if you were to give advice to your 16-year-old self, what would that be? Thomas, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think that I've always been a really creative person, and even on a normal day, I'm getting ideas in my head all the time, not only about throwing, coaching, but also writing songs and, you know, inventing things. And so my brain is just exploding all the time. And when I was 16 years old, I was going in school like everyone else. And at that time, I was also very creative. I had a lot of ideas in school too. But I think the school system is a little bit like, you have to give the right answer. And of course, that's also a logical thing to expect from the students. But my challenge was that every time the school awaited a logical answer or the right answer, I just had all lot of different answers, creative answers, and I didn't really feel that I like was really fit well into the school system. And of course, I went through it all and went to high school too and everything. But I wish I've said to myself as a 16-year-old that your creativity, you'll get a need for that when you take your education or when you'll find your way in work life. So I think all in all, it's all about accepting yourself and as you are, and first of all, taking the strength you have, but also try to improve the things that are like stopping you from reaching what you want. So yeah, that was it.
Thanks for that, Thomas. Carl, advice to your 16-year-old self?
16-year-old me was just going through operations with his knee. So at the time, my world was probably coming to an end at that stage in terms of where I felt I was at, because I was at the club for such a long time prior to that. So looking back now, it's 16, you've got your whole life and your whole career ahead of you, and you will have knocks in the road at some stage, and you will have mistakes that you make. And I think those mistakes and those knocks in the road probably define who you are as a person moving forwards. And I think everything happens for a reason to a point, but also going back to the ambition. I think if you have that ambition, you have to sort of make sure you be the best version of yourself. And if that means there's a few knocks along the way, and if there's a bit of a knock towards your confidence or your self-esteem, have a bit of resilience and make it sort of make you the best person that you can be moving forward. So from a 16-year-old to now, I've probably really developed in terms of my mindset and everything that goes with. But again, going back to it, mistakes, you're going to make them. It's how you learn and adapt and develop from them. And there will be knocks in the road, but those knocks will define you as a person once you step into your career that you want to do.
Fantastic. Cheers for that, Carl. And then on to you, John. Advice to your 16-year-old self?
Yeah, I probably talked about it already before, but I always had a kind of fight in me. I was really always determined to make it as a player when I was 16. I made the step to professional football when I was 16 because my hometown had no youth football in the professional club. And when you go in there, you have to be better than someone else. So it was for me always try to work harder than the other and be better. If the other one make 2 saves, I want to make 3 saves. If he run dive 6 times up and down, I did 10 times up and down. And that kind of drive and passion I always had, you know, and my motto is really hard work pays off, really. And I think that is my advice. If you are determined to want to achieve something in life, and like they already mentioned, not always will be perfect. You know, I've been number 2 and I had a lot of injuries, and you always have to go out, or I was dropped, and I always had the fight to come back. And I always thought, you know, I will work twice as hard and I will show them that I'm good enough or better than anyone else. And that is something from my personal view that can help you in any job and in any way you want to achieve something. So that is my advice, and that's always what I had. I got that also from my dad. You know, he always said, yeah, you did all right when I did pretty much good, or you should have done this better. And so you got a little bit of the advice of your dad, and you use that later on, and you try to pass it on to the kids in your coaching as well. You know, if you want to improve, you have to work more on this, on that, and you know, you can talk about it in a nice way. Coaching is not about being in an aggressive way, but it's finding the right individual motivation for each individual to get them to make the next step by working hard and try to improve all the skills they have to do. That's my philosophy.
Fantastic. Cheers for those insights, and really interesting. So what we're going to do now, we're going to move on to our next segment of the call, which is some of the questions that have been coming in from our participants. Okay, let's have a little look.
Yeah, so Sorry, Jay, do you want me to do it, or do you want to do it?
Yeah, Rob, you can have a go. Go on.
Yeah, so we've been very busy on the chat box, and some of the questions will probably be the same because it's a club philosophy. But the first ones come to all three guests, so we'll go for it. So it's how important is it to make relationships with either players, your line manager, your manager, and how do you manage a difference of opinions with either players, parents, different coaches? How do we deal with that?
Carl, we'll start with you on that one, if that's okay.
Yeah, so for me, in terms of relationships, I think relationships are essential, regardless of what setting you're in, whether it's in the setting that I'm in now, in terms of relationships with your colleagues, your participants, your parents, your stakeholders, your partners. Relationships are essential in that journey. If your relationship isn't great with either of those facets, well, straight away, there's a breakdown in communication there, which is going to create a barrier in terms of moving forwards. In terms of more practically on the pitch, obviously it goes without saying, the coach-child or coach-player relationship is vitally important. It allows us to gain an understanding of the young person. It allows us to build that good relationship with them, have an honest and frank sort of conversation with themselves and the parents. State positive reinforcement as well as constructive ways to move forward and progress and develop. And again, if we can differentiate them to each individual, have a different type of relationship, because no two people are the same. So if we can sort of have a variance of relationships and a variance of ways of building and sustaining and growing those relationships, it'll stand you in good stead regardless of what setting it'll be.
Perfect. Cheers for that, Carl. Thomas, moving over to you. Importance of relationships.
Yeah, first of all, I'll say that we know that relations are really important. I read a big research once where a lot of teams were measured who had the most success both with the work job but also with the wrestles. And before the big research there, people thought that, hey, it must be the teams who have the most skilled people inside and also the people who are the most well educated. But all in all, they found out that it was actually the teams who have the closest work relations who not only performed best but also had the most work joy. So I really believe in close relations. So again, on to the pitch itself, because I'm not in my different clubs very much, I have to be really sharp to what I have to change for the individual players but also the team. But you can only do that if you have a good relation with the players. So all in all, again, like look the players in the eyes, try to explain, try to make things fun, entertaining, but also so they learn a lot. But also, again, to be open-minded, because if I think I'm the only one who knows anything about throw-ins, then I'm not getting so much out of my drills and my training. So often the players are coming and saying, hey, couldn't we do that instead, or a different way, or in a different angle? So I think it's really important to listen, to have better relations. And it's the same again if we are, together after the training, before the training. Be listening, be helpful, be kind. Give as much value as possible. I think that's one of the most important things. So that's why I try to do in every club, no matter if it's Liverpool FC or another place in the world. Give so much value as possible. So the more we give, the better it is for not only for ourselves but also the entire relations and the club itself.
Perfect. And then last one, John. So relationships, why are they so important?
Yeah, they're important to have good communication with each other, and I think from my point of view, I like to give everyone the same respect. It doesn't matter if it's the kid man or the girls in the kitchen or the cleaners. I speak to everyone in the club, and I speak with them in the same way as I would speak to the manager. In my job, obviously, you have to be also have a good relation with all the goalkeepers. You need to treat them all the same, because you need all goalkeepers one day. You cannot just rely a good relation with number one, because you need maybe next week number two or number three. So I try to give them all the same kind of respect and give them the same attention, work in the same base with them. And that's the same to the coaches or to the analyst department. You talk to them the same, you have your own opinion, you listen to what they have to say. You can use it or you can't not use it. Everyone can give their input. In the end, you have your kind of philosophy working in the Liverpool way, and then you have to listen to other people with their opinions as well. And sometimes you can use it and sometimes you're not, but you have to be open for it. But all has to fit in your way of thinking. Your philosophy has to be in the same thing as how we said it as Liverpool. That's how I would say it would work.
Absolutely. Just on that point as well, John, in terms of the different managers you've worked with as well, the relationships with them probably would have been slightly different. How's that adapted the way you work, or has the way you work always been the same?
Yeah, you know, when the new manager comes in, they have to learn how you are and what you do. I always was like, if I thought it was red, I would tell them it's red. If they want to make a different decision, you have to respect it, because in the end, they are the manager. But and I always give them why I make it red, or to give the solution and how I see it and why I saw it like this. In the end, obviously, the boss make the decision, and that's how it is. And you know, you just be yourself in that way. And you know, every manager has a little bit different way of work, but I would say the managers who come into Liverpool, they all have the kind of same way of want to play and work. And it can change a little bit in session wise, and some want more information of the goalie coach, some want a bit less. You know, you need to adapt to that. No, that's how it is. If they ask you your opinion, you have to give your opinion, and that's where you are helping the manager from your side. If they want to do a different way of work, you have to adapt to that, because in the end, he is the man in charge, and you have to work under his supervision.
Okay, thanks very much for that, John. Very wary of time, so one last question. This is for all of you. To sum up working for Liverpool in one word, what would that be? Carl, put you on the spot. There you go.
Come to me first on that one, Jay. Thanks for that. One word, you want to know? I'm not good at one word, Jay. For me, I was a player. I'm a season ticket holder still, and I work for the club. So for me, it's not a job. Simple as that, Jay.
Thanks for that, Carl. Thomas, one word if you can.
Oh, I would like to say sensational or something else, but perhaps it's like dream recaps it all. I think for me, like a dream come true. So if dream can stand alone, then it fits perfectly into my thoughts about working for Liverpool FC.
Yeah, that sounds good. And John, one word if you can.
Yeah, you cannot give that in one word if you work for Liverpool, that is for sure. But you know, it's a top club to work for. It's a dream for everyone, like to work for a club like this. And you have to enjoy every day if you're in this club, and take every day to give your best. That's all I can say. And every day is a new perfect day to be here.
Thanks very much for that, John. Thanks very much for those answers as well on that question. I know I put everyone on the spot there, so apologies about that. Moving on to the next part of this call now, and it's to kind of give us some feedback about the call, but also to sign up and register your interest for the workshops, which we'll have running every Friday. These are limited places, and there'll be some exclusive Liverpool prizes on there as well. Before I put the QR code on for that, I just want to say a really big thank you for John, Thomas and Carl for giving up their time and being here with us today. It's been really appreciative, and gave a really unique insight into all of your careers. So thank you for that.
No problem. Thanks for you all as well.
So as you can see on the screen now, I've put a QR code, and this will take you to the sign up form, which you'll be able to give some feedback, and you'll be able to register your interest for the workshops that we've got coming up. I've also put the link into the chat if you are accessing this event on your phone. You won't be able to watch it and also scan the QR code. So if you could take the chance to give us some feedback, it's really, really appreciated. And if you can kind of sign up for that workshop, which will be happening at Friday 11 AM, that'd also be really great, and we'll reply to your interest over the coming days for that Friday workshop. I'll leave that on the screen for a couple of minutes. And last but not least, we've got Carl's face up here again. This is our safeguarding number as well. So anyone on the call feeling like they need to kind of speak to someone, this is our safeguarding number as well. And last but not least, thank you very much for being part of our event today. Like I said, this is the first in a series of 8 Careers Uncovered events. The next one is Thursday at 11 AM. This is focused on LFC business. Got some really great guests on that call. And thank you very much for being here today. And thanks again for all our guests for being talking on the call. Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jake. Thank you.